The NCAA, that's four letters. That's nothing more. That's not an enforcement body. That's not a governing body. It used to be. And truthfully, I don't ever know that it had the teeth we thought it did. It was just, it barked really loud for a long time. And so schools were scared and got in line and they were complicit. And how foolish do you feel today, by the way, if at any point in your recent history, as a player or a coach or an institution, you self reported violations?
Welcome to the Third Down Conversation, your place for sports and entertainment. I am the Turnip Seed. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on into the Third Down Conversation, my good people. Please remember to like and subscribe so you can always get the latest episode. Well, the NCAA, mainly college football, is on fire. It's ablaze. And that's mainly due to the fact that Brandon Soreby, the current quarterback of Texas Tech, is allowed to play football this year. Why is that so alarming and causing so much chaos? Well, it recently came to light that he bet around $90,000 total from 2022 up until roughly last year on sports such as baseball, basketball, football. Even back in 2022 when he was a member of the Indiana football team, he bet on his own team. And as you know, that is against NCAA rules. That is against pretty much any sport out there. Like betting is like a major no-no. So the video that you just heard, that was Josh Pate. He has his own show called The Josh Pate Show. Talks strictly college football. And he essentially is stating that the NCAA is nothing more than four letters. He's correct. The NCAA is, at one point, was a bully. If the NCAA said do something, teams, universities, ADs, everybody got in compliance. But now, no one's afraid of the NCAA. Why is that? All you have to do is just sue them. If they come out and say anything or say that you can't do this or you can't do that, just sue them. And the beauty of it is you can sue them in your state, in your county. Use any judge you want because we know that judge is more than likely going to side with you and they're going to give you a temporary restraining order. That means whatever punishment or whatever limitation they, meaning the NCAA, has enforced, it's gone. It's wiped away. So what did Texas Tech do? They sued. They asked for a temporary restraining order. That temporary restraining order allows Brandon Soreby to play, even though he broke one of the main rules, not just in the NCAA, but in sports in general. Gambling has always been seen as a black eye. It completely attacks the integrity of the game, which is why leagues want players to stay away from it. Pete Rose, great baseball player, caught gambling on his team. He's out of there. I think he just recently got in the Hall of Fame, and he should have been there a long time ago. But because of that gambling situation, they was like, nope. Tom Donahue, it's a referee for the NBA. He's in federal prison because of some gambling situations. Like, gambling has always been seen as a black eye. But somehow, Texas Tech, they just letting it slide. They just rocking with it. It's really got most people shocked, including me, because if that rule, if the gambling rule If that rule doesn't mean anything, then no rule does. So, yes, I believe Brandon Soreby should not play this season. Texas Tech's trying to explain it as a mental health situation, like he just can't help it. He has a gambling addiction, and I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking that at all. And if that's the case, and it does appear to be the case, he needs to get help. However, that addiction did lead to breaking a major rule in sports in general. Therefore, accountability has to be held.
If you took the national rules that the NCAA is supposed to regulate, but the NCAA has been sued over so much that they can't regulate them. If you took those rules and you just allowed each conference to enforce those same rules or similar rules, one, it's easier to enforce and regulate and govern a smaller group. And two, the bigger group, the NCAA was sued so much successfully because they have market power. And there's a thought that on the conference level, that these individual conferences don't have market power and they will evade antitrust lawsuits. That's the theory. Of all these conferences, especially the Power Four, don't all have similar rules that they enforce in a similar way. It affects the equity of the competition, and thus, and you've heard Georgia's president say this, we'll just play ourselves and we won't play anybody else.
That was Andy Staples and Ross Dillinger of College Football Inquirer. They are with Yahoo Sports, and the fallout of the Brandon Soreby situation has caused many conferences to think about doing their own thing. It's originally that thought originally generated from the playoff talks, because the Big Ten wants to go to 24 teams. The SEC is firm, 10 toes down, saying 16. With so much, friction going on right now, there's not a lot of give and take. There's some thought that conferences are just going to do their own thing. The worst thing that can happen is conferences playing only each other. And if you want to remember what that would look like, it happened back in COVID. And when it was first announced back in COVID due to that situation, the SEC mainly was like, we're going to do 10 SEC only games. And as a fan, you like, yeah, that's cool. It'll be great. No cupcake games and things of that nature. But when it actually went down, I didn't really like it. Like it was okay. But you don't get those out of conference marquee matchups, right? You don't get the Texas and Ohio State, Notre Dame and Texas A&M, USC and LSU. The sport lives for matchups like that because we're going to get the conference games every year. Like, okay. And those games are great, especially in the SEC. But those out-of-conference games bring something different to the table. It allows fans of different conferences to have those conversations. Who's better, the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC? And one way you can determine that is when they play each other, out of conference. So that would be the worst thing that can happen. Now that leads to how can conferences come together and make today's game more sustainable? Because that, for me, is the key. College football, it's the greatest sport to me. It's the best. But it's in an odd place right now. Not good, not bad, but odd. So if conferences could unify, not in the sense of all coming together, but in the sense of get on the same page with each other and create similar rules where everybody are playing by the same rules, right? A good example of this is the NFL. Say what you will about the NFL during the Colin Kaepernick situation. And no, I'm not agreeing with what they did per se. But what I will say is this. They stuck together. They were unified. And when you're unified, it's hard for you to be divided. It's hard for division to seep through. And if the conferences can come together and form rules to where everybody's playing the same game, I think it would truly help the NCAA and make the sport honestly better. It would create regulation. But I've noticed that people say they want rules, say they want regulations, but no conference has really stepped to the forefront and put in any regulations. No conference has did anything about NIL. No conference has done anything about the transfer portal. No conference has done anything in regards to tampering with players. So they say they want these things, but who's going to be actually willing to be the forerunner? Who's going to step to the front and lead by example? If conferences could align from a rules and guidelines standpoint, who knows where the sport could go? But unfortunately, they won't. Which one of these conferences will be willing to sue one of their members if they step out of line?
An arm race, who spends the most has got the best chance to win. But I think it's a race to the bottom, because if you don't spend to win, you lose your fan base and you don't have any revenue. Let me give you the history. My first year we had collective at Alabama, 2.7 million. Next year, 7 million. Next year, 10 million. I retired. Next year, 17 million. Next year, 24 million. Now you have schools that have close to $40 million rosters. So if we continue to do that, we're going to lose Olympic sports. We're going to lose non-revenue sports. We're going to lose scholarships. And basically what's going to happen is you're going to have football and basketball succeed, and we'll have club sports for everything else.
That's Nick Saban. And look, I'm not a Nick Saban defender. I am an Auburn fan, but he was on a heater. And the public, they disagree with the message because of the messenger. But the message is spot on. People want to bring up Nick Saban's past about how Alabama paid players under the table, of course. Or when he was at LSU, they was doing some shady business as well. Supposedly, none of this has been proven. And my rebuttal is everybody was doing it. Even my beloved Auburn paid Cam Newton's dad. So everybody was doing it. That was the name of the game, right? But that doesn't mean what he is saying should be discredited. So just because it's coming from Nick Saban, that makes it not valid? Because what he is explaining is a system that is built on who has the most money. He's explaining a system that can't be sustained. There's no way that we could keep those Olympic sports, gymnastics, swimming and diving, track. They would become club teams because everything is going towards basketball and football. And when those teams don't do well, as you know, fans stop coming. That's just how it works. They don't want to be in attendance for a team that's not good. Can you blame them? But you're banking on these collectives to continue to increase the cash. And as you notice from what Nick Saban is saying, the number only grows each year. It don't get smaller. It don't stabilizes. It's more and more and more. I am of the belief that college football needs a commissioner because it needs regulation. And when people hear regulation, they hear you don't want the players to get paid. And that's not true. Nick Saban didn't say that. I'm not saying that. Should there be a salary cap? Yeah, it should be. Because there's more to the college experience than just football and basketball. And I'm probably in the minority on this, but I never felt like players wasn't getting paid. I think players have always gotten paid, and I'm not talking under the table. A free education is payment come from someone who has had student loans. On average, a 4-year degree costs $124,000. If you're in state over 4 years, that's about $30,000 per year. If you're out of state for 4 years, it's $50,000. Now, people don't want to count that because they can't experience that physically. Like they can't touch it. It doesn't hit their bank account, but it should still count. So this is not about players not getting paid. It's more so about how can we regulate the system from an NIL standpoint, from a transfer portal standpoint, and tampering standpoint, from enforcing rules standpoint. How can the system be maintained? That is what Nick Saban is trying to communicate. That is why they're asking Congress to step in. We talked about the Brandon Soreby situation and how much that's a black eye on the entire sport of college football. So much so that Big 12 ADs are all meeting together trying to figure out an additional punishment for Brandon Soreby in Texas Tech. But Texas Tech is just not hearing it because they feel like they're in compliance with everything, and that's just not true. They want to be relevant so bad that they'll sell their soul, as one former NFL player tweeted. And based on what's happening, he's spot on. In my opinion, college football wants to operate like a professional league without the rules and guidelines of a professional league. And what does that create? Chaos, disorder, simply craziness. I've stated before, this sport is so awesome. It's so beautiful. The masses love it, but it needs regulation to ensure that the sport continues to grow in a way that is productive, successful, and maintains the integrity of the game. To close out the show, I came across a graphic made by Chris Lowe of On3, and it's the SEC football power rankings. And I got a lot of beefs with this ranking. Let's look at his top 5. Well, let me explain his top 5. He has Texas at 1, Georgia at 2. No problem with those two. He has Ole Miss at 3. I've got a problem with that because Ole Miss lost their head coach, Lane Kiffin, and their offensive coordinator. That team was so successful because of those two. Losing them hurts. And it's fair to question if Trinidad Chambliss, which is Ole Miss's quarterback, how good is he without Lane Kiffin? That's a fair question. Fair question. So Ole Miss should not be number 3. Oklahoma is 4. I'm cool with that. Texas A&M is 5. I'm fine with that as well. LSU at number 6. Big problem. Big problem. They have a new head coach They have a new offensive coordinator, Lane Kiffin. And that I'm not being counterproductive there. I just kind of hyped Lane Kiffin. Now I'm like, LSU has Lane Kiffin, so shouldn't LSU be up? No, they shouldn't. Because, again, new system. Also, Sam Levitt, their quarterback, transfer quarterback, never been in the system before. He did not go through spring because of a foot injury. So, no, they should not be number 6. He's got Bama at 7. He's got Tennessee at 8. I got a problem with that. Tennessee doesn't even have a quarterback. They don't, it's a new quarterback. They're 8. I don't know about that. Florida is 9. I don't understand the Florida hype. I never have. But they're 9. South Carolina is 10. Missouri is 11. Vandy is 12. Vandy is 12. They're going to have a freshman quarterback as their starter, more than likely, and they're 12. Auburn is 13, and you know I got a problem with that. 14 is Mississippi State. 15 is Kentucky, and 16 is Arkansas. I have no problem with 14, 15, and 16. I mean, you can put those in a cup and roll it out, or whatever the case may be, and it doesn't matter how those 3 falls. Those are the 3 worst teams in the conference. Auburn should be ahead of Vanderbilt simply because Auburn brings the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback that ran that offense, most of its receivers, most of its offensive line to Auburn. Alex Golesh and Byron Brown came from South Florida. They should be ahead of Vandy, period. South Carolina should be ahead of Florida. Florida's 9, South Carolina's 10. Those should flip-flop. Mainly because, again, Florida, new coach. That's kind of the theme here. New coach, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback who has not played in the SEC. That quarterback barely played it at his previous school, which was Georgia Tech. South Carolina's returning their quarterback, returning most of their players. South Carolina should be ahead of Florida. I would even say Missouri should be ahead of Florida as well. Just from a cohesion standpoint, Missouri should be ahead of them. So if I made the SEC power rankings, this is how I would rank it. I'd have Texas number 1, Georgia is number 2, Oklahoma is number 3. John Mateer's second year in the league, I think they're going to take a step. Texas A&M will be number 4. Alabama will be number 5. Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. But yes, Bama will be number 5 for me. I put them at number 5 because even though the quarterback will be new, but he's been in the Boer system for so long, he has to know it, in my opinion. So if Austin Mack is the quarterback, Bama should be number 5. Number 6, that's where I would put Ole Miss. Number 7, I will go with LSU. Tennessee will be number 8. South Carolina will be number 9. Missouri would be number 10. Florida, I'd have at number 11. I move Auburn up 1 spot to number 12. Vanderbilt will be 13. And then those last bottom 3, Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Arkansas, to round out the 16 teams. So Chris Lowe, need some more help, man. I got you. Just let me know, brother. I fixed your list, so my list is going to be great. I'm telling you that right now. My good people, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share the show. I am D Turnip Seed. Jesus loves you, and I'm out. Peace.